Hello, welcome back. In this video, we will talk about how we can extend the REST API. In the previous videos, we have seen the basic uses of the REST API and its internal workings. Now, in this video, we will learn about extending the REST API. There are multiple ways to extend the REST API. Let's first learn about modifying the responses. WordPress already provides default endpoints for posts, pages, taxonomies, and custom post types. But how can we register our custom modifications or add custom fields to the responses? As we saw in the previous videos, there are multiple filters and actions available that we can use to modify the REST API responses. However, there are two other ways to modify them. So the first method is the register REST field, and the second is the register meta. An important note about changing responses is that modifying or removing data from a core REST API endpoint's responses can break plugins or the overall WordPress code behavior and should be avoided whenever possible. For example, the block editor uses the REST API to perform CRUD operations. If we remove the default properties or key value pairs from the responses, it could break the block editor's functionality. So we need to be careful with that. If we do need to modify the response, we can register custom fields like custom REST fields to add custom data instead of modifying the default fields. Now, let's look at the differences between using the register REST field and register meta. The register REST field is used to add arbitrary fields to any REST API response. It can be used to both read and write data using the API. In the register REST field, you can add any custom fields with options to get or prepare the data for the REST field. This data will then be included in the REST API response. The register meta is used to whitelist existing custom meta values for access to the REST API. For example, in one of the previous videos, we saw how to add or register meta boxes, such as adding a custom meta box to the movie post type where we can select several actors who appeared in the movie. By default, this meta box's data won't be displayed in the REST API response, but to make it available, we need to register the meta using the register meta function. The register meta function is used to add custom meta information, which is stored in the meta tables. It works with different types of meta tables, such as post meta, term meta, user meta, and comment meta. On the other hand, register REST field is independent of meta, allowing you to add any custom fields you want and prepare the data for display in the response. There are some important notes here. Before WordPress version 4.9.8, a meta field set to show in the REST API using the register meta function was registered for all objects of a given type. For example, let's take our movie post type example. We have a registered actors meta box, right? This meta box was only registered for the movie post type and is not required for other post types such as the default post and person post types. Previously, before version 4.9.8, if we registered a meta, it would be available for all post types, including both default and custom post types. However, as of version 4.9.8, it's possible to register a meta with an object subtype. You can now provide post type slug, and that meta will only be available in that specific post type's REST API response. We will also look at examples to see how this works. Before version 5.3, the register meta function could only support scalar values like string, integer, number, and boolean. But since version 5.3, it has added support for object and array types. So when we register a meta, we can now also provide a schema that will validate the output of that meta field. We will go through this as well. So let's go through this step by step. If you go to the field, this is our REST API route for the movie post type, where we've changed the REST base to film instead of movie. As you can see, two movies have been fetched from the database. However, by default, there is no meta key or meta information in the response. So how can we add that? First, we need to register a custom field and add custom field support. Only then will the meta information be displayed in the REST API response. If we refresh the page, you will see that the meta information is empty. Our custom meta information, which is the actors, is not displayed. We have saved the list of actor IDs into the movie post meta. So how do we display this meta information? For that, I've registered the MLP register meta function and hooked that function into the REST API endpoint. I'm just uncommenting this now. Here, I've called the register meta function along with register post meta and register term meta. If you want to register a meta for a post type, whether a default post or a custom post type, you can use the register post meta function. And for taxonomy terms meta, you can use the term meta. But behind the scenes, these two functions use the register meta function. Now we need to register the meta for the post. I'm using register post meta. If you go to the function definition, you'll see that it was added in version 4.9.8. Before that, we had to use register meta directly. Here you can see the post type for which we need to register a meta key. You can pass an empty string to register the meta key across all existing post types. For example, if you have meta information like a gallery or video gallery that can be used across multiple post types like posts, movies, persons, or any other custom post types, and you want to add that meta information to the REST response for all post types, you can simply pass the post type key as false. This will register it for all custom post types. However, it will also be registered for custom post types created by third-party plugins, so you may need to pass the specific post type key. Next, you define the meta key. This should be the same meta key that is displayed in the post meta table. You can also set various arguments for the registration. To see the available arguments, you can refer to the register meta function definition, where you'll find details on which arguments were added or modified in different versions. This is very helpful to go through. You will also see the object type and the type of metadata such as post, comment, term, and user. The object type refers to the four object types: posts, which include custom post types; comments, terms, which include taxonomies like categories, tags, and custom taxonomies; and users, which are stored in the user metatable. For registering a custom post type, we must specify post meta as the object type, then our meta key. Next, in the arguments, you can set the object subtype, which is the specific custom post type. In this case, we pass movie as the object subtype and the actors. The register post meta function will save the post type into the object subtype. It will pass the register meta post, which is our main object type, and then object subtype as an argument, which is our custom post type, in which we need to register our meta. This function will register the meta for our custom post type and include it in the REST API response accordingly. So this concludes part 1 of how we modify the response and extend REST API. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Chai WordPress.